Last night, Jim and I watched the new movie. Well, it's not really new. It came out in 2022. It's called Don't Worry, Darling, and we just watched it on HBO Max. Have any of you seen it? The reason I really wanted to see it was because I had heard that it was filmed, at least partially, here in Palm Springs, but after watching it, I realized it was filmed almost entirely here in Palm Springs, and I recognized all the locations. I'm here in the neighborhood where Harry Styles' character and Florence Pugh's character, their husband and wife, they lived right here on this cul-de-sac. You can see this direction here. These are the mountains that you see when they're driving away from their homes, driving to work. They drive in this direction, and you can see these hills here. And then you can see the hills behind their home, and they match up. This neighborhood is called Canyon View Estates, built back in the, I didn't check before driving over here if it was the 1950s or 1960s. I'll check and let you know. These today are highly desirable mid-century modern homes here in the south end of Palm Springs, which is the most desirable area of Palm Springs. And the Mesa neighborhood is actually those homes you see on the side of the hill there. One of those homes belongs to Barry Manilow. He lives right there in the hills. He has a compound. And it's kind of interesting now that I think about it. I hadn't thought about that before coming down here, that this is where he lives now, overlooking the neighborhood in the film. But one of the prominent homes used in the film, which is up more in the northern end of town, it's called the Kaufman home. It's one of the most historic mid-century modern homes here in the desert, or here in Palm Springs. And it was actually one of Barry Manilow's first homes here in Palm Springs. It's right on the street. It's not real secluded like the compound he has now here in the south of Palm Springs, up here in the hills. So you can imagine he probably wanted a lot more privacy, especially as he became more famous over the years. I live much closer to the Kaufman home, and so we'll drive by and I'll show you what that looks like and show you just how close it is to the street. So that house, Barry Manilow's former Palm Springs home, in the movie is Chris Pine's character's home. And Chris Pine is sort of the villain of this film. And I'm not giving anything away by saying that. You figure it out really early on that he's sort of the villain. The Kaufman home was designed by architect Richard Neutra, who's a very, very famous mid-century modern architect. So they really did use some very iconic locations here in Palm Springs for this movie. So this neighborhood does have, I think, 4 or 5 different cul-de-sacs, but this cul-de-sac is the houses back up to these mountains, and these are not the mountains that you see behind the houses in the movie, so that has to be the ones across the street. Harry Styles' home, who played Jack, and his wife Alice, their home looked like that one on the right, but it had a blue door, if I remember. I'm gonna have to go back and look at still shots from the film. But I'm pretty sure, I mean, if you look at the mountains behind, see those mountains behind, there's the cul-de-sac where all the neighbors lived, all of the husbands and wives in the film. They all lived in the same cul-de-sac. And those are the mountains that you see behind the homes when they are in the front yard and when they take off for work. Now, in this case, they used the front yards. They had umbrellas, and they used them more like a backyard instead of the front yard, but that was just to give it more of the Palm Springs vibe with the umbrellas and tables and chairs in the front yard. After driving around the neighborhood for a while and checking out each of the cul-de-sacs, I was finally able to match up the house in the movie with the house on this cul-de-sac. And I'm referring to the house with the character played by Harry Styles. All of the other characters live on this street as well. The address of the house is clearly visible in the movie. They didn't remove it or change it, but since this is a real neighborhood with real people living here, I'm not going to give the street address. I just wanted to come by and see it for myself in person, especially since this was one of the primary locations used in the film. If you haven't seen the film, it's a psychological thriller with a very twisted plot and a surprise ending that we didn't see coming. We thought it was going in a different direction altogether. I can't really say that either of us loved the film, but it was watchable and it did keep our interest until the end, especially because it was so mysterious we just couldn't really figure out what was going on. And for us, any movie set in Palm Springs gets 2 thumbs up automatically. So let's head over to the Kaufman house next. It's located just a few blocks away from both of the famous Elvis Presley homes here in Palm Springs. Some of you may remember the video I did last year or the year before when we came here to Cream, the vegetarian ice cream place. So this is the neighborhood where we are, in case you're kind of wondering where South Palm Springs is located or where this neighborhood is. It's just south of Cream. It's over 100 degrees and way too hot to be out walking. Otherwise, I would walk around the neighborhood and show you more of the homes there. It's a really beautiful mid-century modern neighborhood. But I had to go out today anyway to get some blood work done and to have some x-rays done. So I thought, well, as long as I was out, I might as well just drive down. And I was so curious because when we watched the movie last night, I knew the neighborhood. I recognized it. I've been there many times, but I didn't know the cul-de-sac. I hadn't really noticed that before that they had cul-de-sacs in that neighborhood. I had only noticed the other streets. So I was really curious to see if I could find that cul-de-sac where so much of the movie was filmed. Over the years, a lot of movies have been filmed here in Palm Springs. And I think Jim thinks I'm crazy because I always want to go find them and visit them in person. It's sort of like a treasure hunt, and I guess in a way it feels a little bit like being in the movie, or at least on the set. So I was on Palm Canyon Drive heading north, and I just made a left at Denny's, and I'm heading west now. And this neighborhood is called Old Las Palmas. It's pretty much the Beverly Hills neighborhood of the city of Palm Springs. I'm going to make a right here on Via Monte Vista. But if I just kept going straight for another couple of blocks, up on the right-hand side would be Elvis Presley's honeymoon house. And right here on the corner on the left is the former home of actor Peter Lawford. A couple of blocks straight ahead, at the end of the street where it turns right, is the Kaufman home and the next filming location. According to actress Olivia Wilde, who also directed the film, this is the first movie the owners of the Kaufman house have ever allowed to be filmed there. Here at the end of this street, Via Monte Vista curves to the right and turns into Vistacino. And I'm not sure if this first property on the left-hand side is part of the Kaufman estate or not. The estate is very large, as you'll see up here on the left. The entrance is right here on the left-hand side. And as you can see, it looks exactly the way it does in the movie, but the property is surrounded by a huge hedge, so you can't see the pool from the street. We only live about 5 miles from here, so I was really surprised that I didn't hear about the filming while it was happening, but I believe the filming took place in 2020, and that's when I was spending most of my time in Quartzsite, Arizona, taking care of my mom who had had a stroke. Just to give you an idea of how large this property is, it continues all the way down to the end of this hedge on the left-hand side. Not only is there a pool and a pool house like you see in the movie, but there's also an enormous tennis court on the other side of the pool house. This is what the house looks like in the movie on the other side of that hedge. And this is Chris Pine sitting in the pool house. The next filming location is just a few miles north of here, and it's a very famous mid-century modern building that's appeared in lots of other movies and TV shows. This iconic mid-century modern building and Palm Springs landmark opened in 1965 as a gas station. It went out of business in the 1990s, and in 1999 the city of Palm Springs designated it as an historic site. A few years later, in 2003, the city purchased the property and opened it as the Palm Springs Visitor Center. When I was a kid, this is the gas station where my family would fill up with gas each week. For very little money. It was probably like, 25 cents a gallon back then. 15 cents a gallon, I don't know. But this was a gas station. It originally was built as a gas station. It's such an incredibly beautiful building, and it looks like it was always meant to be the Palm Springs Visitor Center. It's right next door to the Palm Springs welcome sign that you see as soon as you come into town. So it's something that if you've ever been to Palm Springs, you've likely driven by or seen the Palm Springs Visitor Center. So it's fun to see that in the film. And I don't know if you could tell by the skies. They're not as blue as they were in the movies, not as blue as they usually are here every day. The skies are still full of smoke from the fires, unfortunately, that we're having. It happens most every summer. It's just so hot here in and around Palm Springs that many of the hills catch on fire, and there are 2 or 3 fires right now, not in Palm Springs, but not too far away. And so let me turn the camera around and you can see. So off in the distance you can see the smoke and the cloudy skies. They just recently added these charging stations, which is kind of nice. This is new. This is the back of the visitor center that used to be the gas station. many years ago. So if you've seen the film, share your reviews in the comments section. We liked it and definitely didn't know what was going on most of the time, which was good. It's a mystery, it's a thriller mystery, and not the type of movie we normally watch. So if it wasn't filmed here in Palm Springs, I don't know if we would have watched it. I mean, Harry Styles is very popular, so I know a lot of people are watching because of him. And he was good, and so is his wife, the lead actress, Florence Pugh. I don't remember seeing her in anything else. And Chris Pine was very good. Olivia Wilde, she plays Bunny. She was very good. Apparently this was also her directorial debut, so she did a great job. It was a very stylish, very interesting film. I can't say we loved it, but we really enjoyed it. And our favorite character was Palm Springs. We enjoyed watching it just to see so much of Palm Springs. So we would give it 2 thumbs up. Not huge thumbs up, but definitely thumbs up. Let us know what you think. I hope you're all keeping cool. I'm sitting here in my car with the air conditioner on, and it's 112 degrees outside, so that's why I'm not walking today. So I'm going to head home now, and we'll see you next time.